Hey guys, this video here is just about a wee steam pit or steam oven or whatever you want to call it. I just call it a wee steam pit. Some people call them Fiji ovens, or they're along that same line, you know. But what all I've done, I've dug a hole. It's about a foot deep. I'll line it with rocks. I'll light a fire on all the rocks in the hole, and I will then put a chicken in it. Take away the fire, put the hot rocks back in and around on top of the chicken, and let it sit underground for a few hours, and it should have a perfectly cooked chicken. So we'll move on to the next stage. There's the soil there that I'll put back in later on. As you can see there, I've dug out the hole. I've got all my rocks here now. So what I do is line the hole with rocks. I'll light a fire in there on top of the rocks and put more rocks in on top of the fire and keep feeding the fire till the rocks are really warm, a couple of hours, and then I'll remove the fire. I'll put in my chicken, then I'll put in my rocks over the chicken, and then I'll cover the hole up so it'll not let any moisture or heat escape, and it should cook the chicken in 2 to 3 hours, and it should be perfect. And just make sure pepper doesn't get into the fire there. We don't want to cook her now. That's a fire lit and all the rocks in, and there's plenty of sticks in there in the middle of the rocks and around the rocks and top of the rocks, and I'll just keep feeding that fire and keep burning away on it for a good hour, maybe 2 hours. I'll make sure that the rocks are completely heated before we move on to the next stage. So that's the plan anyway. So I have a couple of hours to kill, so I'll just go further about here. It's burning away, plenty of heat in around the rocks, and again I'll keep loading it and filling any gaps or whatever to make sure them rocks are all heated straight through. Some of the ones at the edge of the fire maybe hasn't quite got them. They look warm, but they're getting there. But it will heat up. I'd say the next hour, another hour burning this thing. I think my oven will be ready to cook in. So we'll take it from there. So this is the main course. It's just a chicken. It was actually a frozen chicken, and it's still partly frozen, so I'm not sure how this is going to work, because I've never really had one that was still partly frozen before, but every other time it's worked well. But the chicken hasn't been frozen, so we'll see how it works. And what I'm going to do, what I actually use, I'm going to use tin foil, right, to wrap the chicken in. Again, if you want, you can use ferns, green leaves, you can even use mud to wrap around a chicken rather than tin foil. But I'm using tin foil because I don't have to. Again, I have a wee policy, again, if I don't have to use greenery, plants and mud and stuff, I'll not use it. It's the same with building shelters. If I'm building shelters with a group, I'm only practicing. You know, always use dead materials, and if we're going to stay in them that night, or stay in them at night, then I'll let them use the greenery, because obviously it's better for waterproofing. But if I don't have to use leaves and that, why bother killing them if I don't have to? I'm just going to use tin foil. It doesn't take a lot of weight to carry about, and it's a great bit of stuff to use in the outdoors. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I do is I've just sprayed that there with a butter flavour spray on the tin foil and on the chicken, and I'll just wrap the chicken up. And once I get this fire to burn down, I have the chicken wrapped up, the fire will burn down, I'll take out the rocks and put on the chicken, put the rocks back in the chicken and cover it up, and it should cook there for a few hours. So that's the idea. So I better get cracking with my wee chicken here and wrap it up. Again, if you want to stick an orange or anything in it to add flavour to the chicken, fair dues, but I'm just pure chicken. I'll go into my soda bread for lunch later. That's the chicken wrapped and coated and ready to go into the fire once it's burnt down a bit and I clear it out. Fire cleared out with the rocks. They are piping. That's the fire. Look, the rocks are piping the fire out. I've gathered a bunch of sticks there. You'll see what this is for. Now all I have to do is put the chicken in and surround it with all the hot rocks. As you see the chicken's in there, the rocks are all around it and whatever. Now what I do is I just use these branches that I've collected and start stacking it over. So that's my sticks. They're over the pit. Now all I do, rather, you can use greenery or whatever, leaves, branches, whatever, but again I'm just going to use a bit of polythene, black polythene, or cut-offs, and put it over that. And then what I do is I put all the soil and stuff on top of that and hold the heat into the pit. Again, you don't have to use that. Again, you can use greenery and that, but as it says, I try not to use the greenery in it if I don't really have to, because it just creates more of an impact, so I try not to, so I'm just using this, but the greenery will do the exact same thing because I have done it before. So that's it covered there now, folks. Now all I'll do is put the soil and that on it and stop all the smoke coming out and escaping from that pit, and then that should be the oven ready to cook the chicken. That's the pit complete. So just to recap, dig a hole, probably around a foot deep, take a chicken, line it with rocks, light a fire in it, and put more rocks on top of the fire and keep feeding the fire until the rocks, it takes a couple of hours till the rocks are piping hot, that they're so hot that you can't lift them, so you have to use a wee shovel and that to move them about, or fire gloves if you have them. That's just the stuff that I've taken out, it's mouldering. So once you've done that, you take out the sticks, whatever's left, once you have it, the rocks cooking for a few hours. You take them out, you put your chicken in, whether it's wrapped in tin foil or leaves or mud or whatever, you put it in at that stage. They put the rocks in on top of it. Then you do, you get a pile of wee long branches that just goes over the hole, and you put that over the hole. And then you can either again use greenery, leaves, whatever, branches, whatever you want to use. I just used polythene, and then I just covered the dig out of the hole, the mud that I've dug out of the hole, and covered it over. And what it does then effectively, as you can see, there's no smoke coming escaping from that. It seals everything in, so the smoke and moisture and that doesn't escape. And you just let it sit for a couple of hours. I might have to let this sit a wee bit longer because my chicken wasn't fully thawed, so. And the chicken should come out moist every time, and it tastes lovely. There's it uncovered, the muck taken off the oven, and you can still see it is extremely hot, the soil and everything's extremely hot, so I'll dig on down and see what we get. There's the sticks, soil and the cover and everything removed. Now just to take out the hot rocks, and they are still pumping warm, so that's a good sign. There's the pit emptied. And look at that, that is cooked to perfection. So I'm going to cut this up, put it into my wee soda bread there, and have a good feed, fill in the hole, and again leave no trace, no rubbish, no nothing. Bury the hole and cover it up as best I can to make it look natural, fit in again, or what's around me. And then it's probably time to go home, but that's what you get, that is cracking. Perfect chicken every time, lovely and moist, cooked through. Fantastic. If you have never tried this method before, it's very hard to get wrong. I was a bit worried here because this chicken was a wee bit still a wee bit frozen by the time I got it out here, but again, it's worked a treat, and I think if you leave it between 2 and 3 hours for this sort of size of a chicken, it'll come out perfect every time. I'm enjoying tasting this now, so that's pretty much it. I'll eat this here, as I said, in my wee soda there, give the pepper some of my wee dog over there perfectly waiting for it. And I'll just clean up. Right, folks, that's me. That's our wee day done. That's where the fire was. Let's see, directly behind me there. There's the stump that I was using to chop on. It's all filled in, as you can see. Leave no trace at all anywhere. So that's what I try to do. And that's me finished. That's chicken in me, really good, tasty. If you've never tried that before, give it a go. Again, you don't have to do it exactly the same way I did it, but there's that many ways that you can do it. Again, you don't have to use the plastic, you don't have to use tin foil, you can use all natural stuff. But again, as I said, I like to try not to use natural stuff unless I really need it for a situation. Because the same, like if I take grips out, again, if we're building these shelters, I said it before earlier on, we use all dead stuff. Only if we're going to be staying in that night, you want good waterproofing, so then we'll use all the real stuff, living stuff and ferns and stuff. And it's the same principle with this. If I don't need to use leaves and stuff, and I can use tin foil, same thing. But you can use all our stuff if you want to have used it. It does work. So that's us. Again, everything's cleaned up. I keep telling people this. Leave no trace. Very important. I believe in it. It leaves this area beautiful for somebody else to come and use. There's no mess. You wouldn't hardly know I was here. There's wee traces here and there, wee chippings and that here and there, but again, that'll disappear, and the place will regenerate within a week or two after me leaving. So that's pretty much it. And if you have enjoyed this video, enjoyed the wee bushcrafty cooking bit and even just the camping bit, subscribe to my channel and give us a wee like. Thanks.